Seasonal anime never ceases to amaze me, and if you're wondering why there's a bird on the screen, it's because I'm doing some cooking today, and also because I got this flavor injector which I really wanted to test out.
Back, nobody thought I was leaving, caught with a grievance.
So the first step is to spatchcock our chicken. In other words, cut our chicken in a way that's going to allow it to lay flat. This allows it to cook more evenly and allows the seasoning to spread out a bit more. It also cooks faster as well. And for it to lay flat, we have to start off by removing the backbone and popping open the breastbone. It's optional if you want to remove the breastbone or not. I chose to leave it in. And then you can save the bones you take out for like a chicken stock later on or something. Changing the topic though, I recently started watching Ranking of Kings. It's pretty good. It's set in a almost fairy tale like medieval type of world in which the kings of each kingdom are ranked, hence the name Ranking of Kings. And our protagonist, Boji, has the goal to be the #1 king. However, he's deaf and he can't speak. I took one glance at this and initially said, yeah, no, I'm not watching this show. But then the same person who recommended me Odd Taxi and Arcane recommended me this, and at that point I pretty much knew I was going to be in for a treat. And from episode 1, emotionally, the show already has me. As of this recording, we're only halfway through, and judging from the new opening for the second part, things are about to pop off even more. The emotional attachment to some of these characters is definitely there, at least for me. The plot has beautiful twists and the flashbacks are top tier, and 99% of the scenes are always so important and engaging, whether it's a reference to something that is mentioned in the future or forms as a clue to some sort of mystery, or even character development, which is another top tier thing in this show. It's great stuff. The show gets dark and serious, which I just love. It's a shame that I started now because I would have rather waited for the whole thing to come out so I could just binge it all at once. Overall, chef's kiss. Oh. Yes. There we go. Ooh, spatchcocked. Okay, so on to our next step, which is our brine, which is basically a way to add moisture and tenderness to our meat. You can either do a wet brine, which is submerging your meat in what is usually a salt-based solution, or a dry brine, which is basically just salting your meat and then just leaving that for a prolonged period of time. I decided to do a dry brine just because one of the benefits was that you can get crispier skin, which is what I was kind of going for. So in my dry brine, I just use salt, sugar, and some chicken powder, and then just let that sit in the fridge for a day. And what's gonna happen, that's actually a lie. I let it sit in the fridge for about 13 hours, not the whole 24 hours, but I guess the longer the better, kind of up to 48 hours, I'm assuming. And what's gonna happen is the salt is going to draw out the water in our bird. And then from this water that's been drawn out, it's going to mix with our dry brine solution, which is salt, sugar, and chicken powder. And these juices then get reabsorbed back into the meat, if that makes sense. Okay, and I kind of want to go a step further. If you remember Osmosis, that's kind of what's happening here. We have our high concentration solution, the dry brine solution, getting reabsorbed back into the meat, which is at a lower concentration. And what this will then do is, as soon as the salt starts entering the chicken, it will start breaking down the proteins, which in turn allows the cells inside the chicken to hold on to and retain more moisture. And as a result, when cooked, you get moist and juicy chicken. I really hope that made sense. You can kind of see here I've left this only for about 10 minutes and the water is already being drawn out of the chicken. Changing the topic again though, another seasonal anime I started watching was Eater Bisco. I don't want to set my expectations too high, but it could be pretty good. It's still early days, but I will say I'm loving the art style, and the first episode was pretty intriguing. I would say it's set in a post-apocalyptic dystopian type of world. Wow, that was a mouthful. I'm not sure if that's the right word to use, but there's this plague-like disease going around called rust, which is literally rust growing on your skin, and I'm assuming when it gets too much or pretty much just consumes you, you die. The characters we met so far seem like they could be interesting, but yeah, we'll just see where it takes us. It gives me similar vibes to Dorohedoro, which was pretty great. At least for now, since we're only 2 episodes in. It's not the sort of show that I'll tell you to, drop what you're doing and start watching, but it could be, we'll see. Anyway, getting back to the cooking, now our chicken is dry brined. I'm gonna season it. So I first started off with the injection. I have this Korean barbecue sauce that I'm gonna use, and I'm just gonna inject it into random parts of the meat. In hindsight, what would have been pretty cool is to only inject half of the meat, so I could kind of compare how much of a difference it made compared to the other half of the meat. I did do it with the legs, and then I just forgot to compare. I kind of just chopped it all up at the end and then just mixed it all in together. And then after this, I brushed on some soy sauce, mainly for the color, not really for the taste, just to give it that dark brown look once it's finished roasting. And then for the seasonings, I kept it pretty simple. I just added oregano, thyme, paprika, and then this all-purpose seasoning mixture, I guess. And I also added a bit of salt, but not too much, just because it had been salted previously as well. And then I just put that into the oven on about 150 degrees Celsius, and yeah. The chicken is finished. This was my first time dry brining a whole chicken, and it tasted divine. Juicy, tender. There's definitely a difference than if you didn't dry brine it, I feel like. And I'm not gonna lie, I used to hate eating chicken breasts just because they were always dry to me. But this chicken breast here, it's completely fit the script. It's moist and it's just juicy and it's good stuff. I'm not gonna lie, it's good stuff. The sauce I injected really added extra juice to the chicken juices that was already there, which was just another way to level it up even more. I will say though, try to minimize the amount of holes that you put in your chicken, just because the more holes you put in, the more places there is in the chicken for the juices to leave, which as a result might make your chicken drier than what it should be. Basically just try and use the same hole as possible and try and hit different points from the same hole. My plating could definitely do with a bit of work, but I will say the taste was definitely there. And that's really it. If you have watched up to this far, thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.